Welcome back to the Just for Clicks podcast. I'm your host, Forrest Whaley, and today we got a pretty good podcast in store. We're going to do news, we're going to do hot takes, we're going to do Pixar movie reviews. That's our marquee topic this week. Pixar movies are mad weird, and I think it needs to be discussed. No one's talking about it, and I'm frankly disgusted that Pixar is allowed to continue as a company. Okay, so yeah, let's right up top. Let's talk about intermediate fasting, guys. There's a weight epidemic in America. People are getting fat. I mean, back in the day, you look at movies from the 50s. Everyone's just got that 50s body. You know what I'm talking about. They're not very brawny. They kind of look a little bit emaciated, but no one's fat. Today, you're either super jacked or you're pretty schlubby and out of shape. As a society, as a culture, we have to not be fat anymore. If any of my listeners are fat, this is the wake-up call. It's time to get out there, start running, start your intermediate fasting today. I've been fasting for like the past 2 weeks. And basically, it's just this app that I downloaded, and it tells me when I can eat. And I put it on it's like a video game. I put it on the medium level because I didn't want it to be too challenging. And I basically just can't eat for 16 hours out of the day. And it's difficult sometimes, but you can actually earn Frosties, which are these things that you can use to skip a day. And I've done that twice. I honestly feel like maybe it's giving me too many Frosties because I have 3. Or I had 3, and now I think I used 2. I think I got another one, though, so now I have 2 Frosties. I don't want them to make it too easy for me. But I've already lost several pounds. I've also been exercising and running a lot recently. I just got really heavy around this time last year, and I made a commitment that I didn't want to be that way. My weight has always been an issue. It's always been fluctuating. I was really skinny for a while, and then I gained weight again. And then now I'm starting to get skinny again and get back to the way I want my body to be. I find it interesting this whole process. Okay, so on the news today, we learned that TikTok is not being banned after all. We thought TikTok was going to be banned in the U.S., but it turns out they made some sort of finagle deal, and now it's all good. I had a feeling that it would be okay. When they said TikTok was going to be banned, I just kind of had this feeling in the back of my head that, that's probably not going to happen. TikTok is just too lit. I was a TikTok hater before, but now I'm actually finding success on TikTok, and I can't stop. TikTok is pretty dope. If you guys want to follow me on TikTok, I'm posting videos over there as often as physically possible. Yeah, also, just wanted to give a quick shout out to my second channel. I'm going to be doing more streams over there. So if you know about this podcast, you probably already know about the second channel, but I thought I'd plug that right up top. Also in the news, there was a pretty big earthquake in Los Angeles. What was it, yesterday? I don't know. I'm kind of losing track of time. But it was fairly recently, either yesterday or the day before. Alyssa and I were just hanging out in the living room watching some Unexpected, which is a show about teenage pregnancy. And we just got jolted by this huge earthquake. It was a 4.9 or something. But it didn't last long at all. It was really intense, but it was just for literally 5 seconds or something. It's pretty epic. Reminds you of your place in the world. I enjoy that kind of shit. And Sean was saying that it's good to have these big little earthquakes to kind of loosen up the quote unquote big one. I was thinking it's a bad thing. It might loosen up a really big one, but he's saying it actually relieves pressure. I mean, none of us are scientists, but I like his perspective on that. I think it's a positive outlook, and that's the perspective I choose to take, is the positive one. Which brings us to our new section of the podcast. The sections in this podcast, they're going to change a little bit. They're not always going to be consistent, but they're around, if I need to bring them back. The things I've been confronted by this week. I haven't really been confronted by anything this week. Thank God. It seems that every single week I've been confronted by something But this week has been pretty chill, honestly. I don't think anything's really pissed me off or got under my skin. So that's awesome. So I'm introducing a new segment called Positive Events That Have Happened This Week. And our first subject on that is the new spicy nugs from McDonald's and the new Chips Ahoy McFlurry. Wow. Just when you think McDonald's couldn't get any better, they introduced the new spicy nugs and the Chips Ahoy McFlurry. I've had both. The first 2 times I went to McDonald's to get the new spicy nugs, they were sold out. I got that Chips Ahoy McFlurry, though, and damn, it was good. I think it was really good, but I do think the M&M McFlurry, I'm just so used to that one, and it's so fucking good that how could I not get the M&M McFlurry when I go there? But it's good to know that the Chips Ahoy McFlurry is there and available if I choose. Hopefully they keep it around. I want as many McFlurry options as possible. Honestly, they should introduce more. And as far as the spicy nugs go, damn, I was impressed. You know, I wasn't expecting them to be hot at all, and they totally weren't. They were the most mild spicy nug you could possibly have. But if you eat 6 of them all at once, you get a little twang of spice. And so, you know, that's kind of how I eat chicken nuggets anyway. I just kind of slam them all down my throat in 30 seconds. So, when you do that, you kind of start to feel the spice, just a bit, just a hair. But if you eat them individually, I wouldn't recommend it because they basically taste like a regular chicken nugget, which is still good. I mean, I'm not knocking the chicken nugs. I love McDonald's. And then also another positive event that has happened this week is I saw this movie called The King of Staten Island. You may have heard of it. It's got that guy with the tattoos. I'm blanking on his name right now. But it was directed by Judd Apatow, and I didn't even realize that until the end of the movie when his name appeared in the credits. Because I was like watching the movie, I'm like, oh, Judd Apatow's daughter's in this movie. That's lit. And then I realized like, oh, Judd Apatow directed this movie. And I should have known because it had a very Judd Apatow feel to it. I just never even looked into it. I assumed for some reason it was directed by like some newbie, like up and comer guy, because like I feel like Judd Apatow's movies are usually about like older people. He's made some really good movies. Funny People, I really like that movie. I like all his movies, honestly. Knocked Up, but this movie felt like a little more fresh. Like it was like kind of about my generation, which is I just found it very relatable. I found it very emotionally cathartic. Bill Burr was also in it, and he was really good. God, why can't I remember this guy's name? Oh, it's going to bug me. But Bill Burr was great in it. He had this really crazy-ass mustache. When I first saw the trailer, and he had that mustache, I was like, oh, that looks horrible. But in the movie, you kind of get used to it. The trailer makes the movie look kind of like sappy and like lame. But the actual movie is pretty chill and fun. So I would definitely recommend that movie. If you're looking for something good to watch, that's nice and chill. It's definitely a little bit on the long side. I think all Judd Apatow movies are like that. You definitely have to set some time aside. You know, maybe watch it in 2 sittings. But it was definitely highly enjoyable. It's cool to see that a movie that's kind of more chill and laid back and, you know, not some sort of like large premise can emotionally affect you in such a way. It's just it's a nice reminder that you don't need to have huge ideas to tell a story that is very emotionally affecting. Anyway, let's get on to the hot takes this week. Hot takes corner. So, I asked on Twitter and on my YouTube this week, on my YouTube community tab, for some hot takes, and you guys came heavy with the hot takes. Charlie Rose says Mega Construct sets are more screen accurate than Lego. They hold together even better, and their designers are more innovative and willing to take risks. Wow. Boldly worded, Charlie. I've never had the pleasure of owning a Mega Construct set. I've seen them at Target, and I just assumed they were just another horrible knockoff brand. But apparently, according to Charlie here, he's saying they hold together even better than Legos, which is a bold claim, because are Legos known for not holding together? I've never had a Lego that didn't hold together unless it just flat out broke. And that usually only happens to the brown pieces. I don't know what he means by hold together even better. Like, what are they made out of? Fucking super glue? Like, do they literally just you can't take these things apart? Like, they just hold together way too well. And their designers are more innovative and willing to take risks. I love this because it's implying that like there's some sort of like deep artistry to making Legos. And the people behind the Lego brand have really just let themselves go. They're no longer willing to take risks. Or maybe they never even were willing to take risks. I don't even know what he means by that. It's such a funny way of phrasing it. Like you would say that about like comedy, like a comedian. Or you would say that about like... It's just so funny to think of designing a Lego as taking a risk. You take a risk by being like a stuntman, not designing Lego bricks. But okay, sure. I mean, that's just a very bold way of saying that. And you've convinced me, Charlie. You know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to buy my first Mega Construct set. And I'm going to do a live review. I'm going to do a live build review on my channel. No, I probably won't actually. I'll buy one though. I'll build it and then I'll talk about it on this podcast next week. Sound good? All right. Thanks for writing in, Charlie. We got another hot take from Pentrant Productions. He says, asexuality is a decision. Asexuality is a decision. Wow, that is a hot take, because the thing is with these hot takes, you got to make them hot. And while I disagree with that statement, it's interesting, you know? It's an interesting statement. I kind of wish he had elaborated a little bit more, but I would have to say no. I mean, I've never personally known someone who claimed to be asexual, but that doesn't mean I don't believe it's a thing. I mean, I believe sexuality is a spectrum, so I don't believe it when anyone tells me I'm straight or I'm gay. Like, I think everybody's got a little bit of something in them. Like, if you're a straight man, I think there's a little bit of gay in you, and if you're a gay man, I think there's a little bit of a chance that you might go down on some chicks someday. You know, I don't believe people who make these like strong finite statements about their sexuality. So same goes with asexuality. Like, yeah, you might not be attracted to like most people, or like you may just never hardly ever feel a sexual urge, or maybe you just have never felt sexual desire. And if that's the case, I honestly pity those people. I almost see it as like a disability or something, because sex and enjoying sex is such an important part of being a human. So that's almost like the worst one you can be. I mean, if you're straight, that sucks because you're just boring. And if you're gay, you know, you're persecuted by a large swath of people. But if you're, at least both those groups are fucking, you know, at least both of them are having a good time. Asexuality is just like, damn, like, I guess you got a lot more time to work on Lego videos. You just don't have to worry about ever jerking off or doing anything sexual. You don't have to worry about having a girlfriend or having anyone in your life. You can just survive on saltine crackers and Red Bull. I don't even know. What do you do when you're asexual? Anyway, I don't believe that it's a decision. I don't think anyone decides to be any sexual way. Personally, I think it's a feeling. So you can't discredit someone's feeling. If someone says they're asexual, then you gotta just be like, yeah, I believe you. I mean, why would they lie? I mean, I'm sure some people will lie about it, but I don't know why. But yeah, if someone tells you something about how they feel, you should just like mostly just generally just try to believe them. Okay, let's go on to the next one. That's a pretty loaded topic. I don't even know how to respond to asexuality as a decision. Like, nah, bro. All right, DYL. He says frogs are extremely underrated. I've got to agree. No one ever talks about frogs. You know, I've been saying this for years. Frogs are epic. They deserve to be placed at maybe not the top, but maybe like under lion in the animal hierarchy. You know, it goes lion, frog, man, whale, dolphin, giraffe, bats. Bats are awesome. Okay. Oh yeah, and I got an email. I got a hot take email. If you guys want to write me, You can. My email is justforclickspod@gmail.com. You're not really supposed to give me your hot takes over email, but whatever. Usually I do the hot takes over Twitter, but, here's an email. Hey, Forrest. This is from Andrew. He says, hey, Forrest. I don't like when people say something is overrated. I don't like the idea that people are saying others have too much passion for something. I think as long as you're not hurting anyone, then there's no such thing as too much passion. Passion is a good thing. I like the term underrated because it's saying people could have more passion. For example, I don't like the Transformers movies. I've never finished one. Not even when I was 11 could I make it through the first one, but I love to hear from people who love them. I like opinions of people who have enthusiasm for stuff I don't give a shit about. I think a lot of people toss around the term overrated when they could just as easily say it wasn't for me. I completely agree. Not about the Transformers thing. I love the Transformers movies. But about the general gist of this email. I think when people say things are overrated, I do think that they could phrase that better. A lot of times people say stuff and they don't really think about the way they say it, and I'm guilty of this too. But words and language are really important, and we should try to conduct ourselves in a way that's going to send the most positive message towards the outside world. And simple things like this can make a big impact, every day. So next time you make a tweet, think about am I being an asshole? Or is this just my opinion, You don't want to come across as a douche and say something's overrated. Because, yeah, you are kind of shitting on everyone's passion for it. You just have to say, this is how I feel about this, And a lot of times that's kind of implied. You can just say, this movie was shit. And you don't have to say it was overrated. You can just say this movie was shit. And you don't even have to qualify it and say, I think this movie was shit, because that's implied. So just simplify and get to the point, people. I agree with you, Andrew. Not about the Transformers thing. Those movies are awesome. I love the Transformers movie. All the Transformers movies are great. I want to do a Just for Clicks commentary on all of them. Not Bumblebee. Bumblebee is terrible. It's just a boring movie. It wasn't directed by Michael Bay, so that's why. Great. Those were some good hot takes. Keep them coming, guys. I really need some more hot takes. I'm kind of running out. I'm running low on the hot takes. I got a few more for the next podcast, but if you guys don't keep these hot takes coming, then I'm going to have to go to Reddit or something. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you for sending in your hot takes. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab some water. And I'm back and ready for the marquee topic. Pixar movies are mad weird. I just got a bubbly, and it's the cherry bubbly. And it honestly tastes just like Dr. Pepper. It's bizarre. It has 0 calories. It's literally just flavored water, but it tastes like a Dr. Pepper. I don't understand. I don't think it really ever occurred to me that Dr. Pepper was cherry flavored until I started drinking the cherry bubbly. And I'm like, oh, that's what that Dr. Pepper flavor is. It's like a cherry flavor. It's bizarre. You guys should try this thing. Okay, so we got to get into the Pixar movies because I've been working on this epic rap battle for Pete for the past... I've been working on this video with Sean for the past several months, but for the past couple of weeks, I've just been doing the mouth animation and also tack cleanup, cleaning up little pieces of dust, little pieces of cat hair that appear in the background and on the figures by accident. Just cleaning up the video, making it look nice and squeaky clean. So I've had a lot of time to just watch movies and watch YouTube videos. Just been spending 16 hours a day in front of my screen. It's not my favorite part of the job. And I've kind of run out of stuff to watch on YouTube. So I went to Disney Plus. I'm like, what did they got on Disney Plus? Oh, they've got every Pixar movie. So I've just been watching every single Pixar movie. And I'll tell you what, these Pixar movies don't make any sense. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to go through the ones that I watched. I didn't watch every single one, but I watched a lot of the ones that I haven't seen in a while. The last time I've seen a lot of these was when I was a kid and I didn't question anything. But now I'm an adult and Pixar cannot get this shit by me anymore. I'm not gonna be fooled anymore. Pixar, the shit is ridiculous. All right, here we go. About to go off on Pixar. You guys ready? Because they need to be called out. No one's talking about this. Ratatouille. What the fuck? These rats, they don't appreciate cooking. The father, he thinks his son's a total fag because he loves to cook and he's not a rat like the rest of them. He doesn't believe in his son's passion for cooking. And it's implied that these rats, like, all they know is how to be rats. You know, they don't have a taste for the finer things in life. Yet it is shown in the opening scenes of the movie that they can use boats to elude capture or death. This old lady, she has a shotgun. This is a crazy scene, by the way. She has this shotgun and she's chasing all these rats out of her house, and they deploy a fleet of seafaring crafts to escape. And I think they've managed to construct these crafts out of like garbage or something. It's crazy, dog. Like they you think if they could create boats and they learned how to sail the seas or the stream or wherever the fuck they were, then they might be able to understand how to prepare a meal, prepare a dish. I mean, think about like ancient man. Do you think they developed boats first, or do you think they developed how to cook a meal and season it first? I'm pretty sure they learned how to cook first. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they could develop these seafaring crafts and they could learn how to use them, but then they can't conceive of the notion of preparing a meal, preparing a recipe and cooking. It's messed up, man. So yeah, I mean, and then that's just the beginning of the movie, and I'm already confused. And then they have this they have this part where the rat is learning to work with the man, and he's pulling on his hair, and it controls the man. How does pulling on someone's hair give you fine motor control over the entire person? That literally makes no sense. Zero sense. Like, you've already got this like anthropomorphic rat. Okay, that's a huge buy for your movie. Okay, as an audience member, you're asking me a lot. And now you're expecting me to believe that this rat has the capability of controlling the fine dexterity of this man's whole body. Not even just like his body and limbs, but his fingers. He can pinch the right amount of salt from a simple hair tug. Disney, Pixar, do better. Okay, so let's move on to the. You ever notice in these movies every man is a total cuck too? Like, this guy is like a total pussy like the entire movie, and he can barely get a sentence out in front of this like badass chick who's like this like seasoned veteran chef or whatever, you know, understudy, and she's always like giving him shit and saying he's a fucking worthless, spineless weasel, and he totally is. And then at the end they like get together. Like, that's not realistic. She would have some sort of like buff, like handsome, binging with Babish type fucking boyfriend, and he would get totally fucking left in the dust. But of course it's a Pixar movie made by a bunch of nerds, so of course he gets the girl in the end for no reason. She just instantly likes him just because. He can't even cook. It's literally the rat, and she doesn't even give a fuck. She just likes him because he's got a 2-inch cock. I don't know why it's just like, if you watch these movies, like, they don't make any sense, guys. All right, let's move on to The Incredibles. What the fuck? How do you sue someone with a secret identity? Isn't that the whole point of being a superhero? If they can get sued, why even bother wearing a mask and concealing your secret identity? The whole premise of the movie doesn't make any sense. A superhero doesn't ask to solve crime or to fight crime. They just do it. And I get there's like this like plot line that like the superheroes are kind of like handled by the government, and there's like this liaison who manages them, you know, Rick Dickard or whatever his name is. That's a funny ass name too, Rick Dickard. And I get that, but could Mr. Incredible at least get a job that utilizes his power in some way? Not even like, he doesn't even have to like use all of it. He could just be like a pro wrestler. Like, he could work at like the WWE. That would be a great job for him. And he'd make tons of money. And he wouldn't even necessarily have to reveal his powers. He could just use a little bit of his powers and make total bank. But he doesn't. He chooses to work in a 9-to-5 desk job as an accountant or as an insurance claim adjuster or whatever the fuck he does. It's insane. Wouldn't you like work construction or something? Come on. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. I get what Brad Bird was going for. It's like the juxtaposition of the thing. I get that. But logically, it makes no fucking sense. I don't really have that many problems with Incredibles. Incredibles is probably my favorite Pixar movie. But Incredibles 2 is fucking ass. Don't even get me started on Incredibles 2. I don't even think I'm going to talk about it because I don't want to get too negative on this podcast. But I hated Incredibles 2. It's crazy that it was written and directed by the same guy. But Incredibles 1 is incredible. I just watched it recently, and it's just as good as I remember. But there's this moment where Helen Parr, Mrs. Incredible, she is sneaking into Syndrome's lair, and she catches a glimpse of her ass in a mirror as she passes by this mirror, and she sees her ass, and she kind of looks at it, and it looks great. Like, she's got beautiful curves, and she's got this fat ass, and it's super sexy. And I'm like, damn, that's a nice ass. Obviously, I mean, who looks at Mrs. Incredible's ass and is like, that's a bad ass? But she sees it in the mirror, and she does this kind of like shrug, like this sigh, like this as if to indicate that, damn, I've really let myself go. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, was this shameful back when this movie was made? When did this movie come out? Like 1987? Was having a fat ass like a bad thing back then? Because in today's society, it's completely celebrated. I mean, by all accounts, it's fatter the better. So she should be very happy with her ass. I mean, she looks great for her age. She's got badass superpowers. She's totally smart. She totally doms her husband on a daily basis. Mr. Incredible's a total cuck. Apologizes to his wife and does everything she says whenever she bitches at him. So what's not to like? I mean, like, why is she giving herself such a hard time? I really want to know why they chose to include that moment, because I feel like it's giving people the wrong impression or something, that like they should be ashamed of their ass or something. And wasn't her ass always that fat? Like, I feel like in the flashback it was just as big. It's a good thing, Helen Parr. You should be proud of that ass. Okay. Next movie, Bug's Life. I couldn't even get through this movie, guys. I tried watching Bug's Life, and it was way too disgusting. I already don't like insects, so I wasn't looking forward to this one. But there's a scene early on in the movie where they go to like a bug bar, and a fly orders a poo-poo platter. I hate even talking about it because it's so disgusting. They literally bring out a piece of shit on like a leaf, and they're like, hey, who ordered the poo-poo platter? And there's like some gross looking fly, and he's like, that's me. And he starts like eating it or some shit. I don't know if they actually show him eating it, but I think he takes it, and he's implying that he's gonna consume it. And I almost threw up in my fucking mouth. Like, can we not? Pixar? I get what they're trying to do. Like, I get they're trying to be, appeal to the kids, and they're trying to have this like 8-year-old age range humor, but it's not working for me, Pixar. I had to, that movie just like, it didn't hook me the way that Ants did. Ants was a much better film. You guys ever seen that movie Ants with Woody Allen? That movie's dope, and that it really goes there too. Okay, Inside Out. That movie, I had never even seen it until just recently, until just this week, and it was pretty good. It wasn't great. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of the more recent Pixar movies because I've just been too busy making my Lego stuff and been too busy, having a life, watching movies made for adults. So maybe I just wasn't that into it. But yeah, I haven't seen Coco. I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur. I heard The Good Dinosaur was ass though. But I heard a lot of people say Inside Out was good. So I was kind of curious and eager to see it. And I watched it, and I liked it okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't that great. The husband in that movie is also a total cuck. Have you guys seen these? Are you guys noticing a pattern with these Pixar movies where the man is always the butt of the joke, and he's always got sports on the mind? Like, they zoom into the man's mind in that movie, and all he can think about is hockey. And he's terrible at parenting his daughter. His wife doesn't respect him. It's fucked up, and they make a joke out of it, and they zoom into the wife's head, and she's fantasizing about the helicopter pilot that she should have married. He's like this jacked, tanned helicopter pilot, and it's like, why don't you go marry that guy then? if you're fantasizing about this, then just go marry that dude. Get a divorce. Like, stop putting on this charade. And they play it off as like it's like a funny joke. Like, oh, you know how women always fantasize about leaving their husbands. No. If my wife talked to me like that or told me about her fantasies of marrying some other guy, I'd be like, go do it. It's not acceptable. It's very infuriating. I would not be pleased. I'd be very upset. I can't believe that they're presenting this as a humorous moment. They just seem to have a terrible marriage. And I watched the Inside Out short about Riley's first date. It was also on Disney Plus. I think it played automatically after the movie. And the dad's even more of a cuck in that movie, in that little short, because like literally at the end, his wife like gives him a kiss, and he's like really excited about this kiss, like as if they haven't been married for 20 years. You gotta watch this short. It's bizarre. The short was way worse than the movie. And then she like stops kissing him, and she like kind of like slaps his cheek a little bit, or like taps his cheek, and she's like kind of like as if like, okay, that's enough of that. What the fuck? It was so weird seeing all this cuckery. Anyway, let's move on. That movie is okay though. We got Cars. This is a big one because I got a lot of problems with Cars. The whole world just doesn't make any sense. There's a scene early on in the film where Lightning McQueen is being chased by a police officer. I guess the police officer is like an older car, so he's like backfiring, and Lightning McQueen believes he's being shot at. And I'm just thinking like, he thinks he's being shot at, so that implies that there's weapons in this universe. That implies that there's guns. How would the cars even hold a gun? I'm pretty sure there's guns in Cars too, like they pop out, but those are like James Bond cars. That actually makes sense. This is like an old jalopy like Chrysler police car. So there's not going to be any guns that pop out. So how would the car hold the gun and manage to fire it at Lightning McQueen while it's driving? Would he grab it with its tire and lift up? Like, how would it pull the trigger? That made no sense at all. I was so confused by that. And then I started thinking about like, why would a car even need a gun? I guess to enforce the crime, right? So that implies there's like wars. That implies there was like a car World War II, and a car Hitler, and a car Stalin, and a car Winston Churchill. If you go back even further, like, was there a car Jesus? Did they put a car Jesus up on the cross? Did they nail his little tires to either side of the cross and lift him up? I don't even think a car's weight could be held up on a piece of wood. I think it would snap the cross in half. Cars are heavy as fuck. You need a really thick piece of wood to hold a car up. And I don't think nails through the tires would hold the whole car. So how did car Jesus even happen? And then finally, we'll end this segment off by talking about Up. That's a really tragic movie. They start this movie with this really fucking intense scene where this man watches his wife die, and we come to realize he's a bitter old man, and it's almost like they're trying to make you cry, like it's their mission statement as a company to make you weep in the first 10 minutes of all their films, and it works. Honestly, it pulls at the heartstrings. But the balloons in that movie make no sense. Not only would it not work to have your house be suspended by balloons, I'll buy that. That's the ask. And I'll buy that part, sure. But the part where he lets the balloons go and they start to rip the house out of the ground, those balloons were already inflated. They were just under a tarp. All he did was grab the tarp and pull it down. Why does pulling the tarp off of the balloons make it so that the balloons somehow now have the ability to pull the entire house out of the ground? If they could do that, and they were all already inflated and had helium in them, then what was stopping them? The tarp? That makes no sense. So, Pixar, you got to try harder with these movies. I'm very disappointed, and honestly, as a company, I think they should be canceled. I think they should be shut down. So I'm starting a new hashtag. It's a hashtag cancel Pixar. And the reasoning behind this cancelization is their movies make no physical sense. They wouldn't happen. They wouldn't be possible in the real world. And that's how I want my movies to be. I want them to be gritty and realistic, like the new Batman film. Okay, that is all for the Marquee topic this week. That is all we have on the Pixar movies. Cancel Pixar. Never watch another Pixar movie again. Now we can move on to the emails this week. And we've got 2 emails about ghost hauntings. I asked you guys to write in your haunted ghost stories. These are real events that took place. These are real experiences from my fans. And if you guys have any odd hauntings or anything creepy that happened to you at any point in your life that is unexplainable, I implore you to write in to justforclickspod@gmail.com. The email is in the description of the podcast. But let's take a look at these emails, because I was reading them and I got a little spooked myself. So I'm curious to see what you guys make of them. First one is from Ian. He says, ghost story. Okay, maybe it's not exactly a ghost story, but it's a kinda spooky one nonetheless. So, I was just laying in bed one summer night, too tired to get up and do something, but not quite tired enough to go to sleep. That's a bad place to be. So I just got on my phone and started watching YouTube. Everyone was fine until I hear someone scream outside my window. Now I'm talking girl from Psycho screaming. It really scared the shit out of me, and it forced me to just stay awake the entire night. Wait, you didn't go outside to investigate? That's my first reaction whenever I hear anything. I'm like the guy in a horror movie. I'm like, what was that? And I'll go outside and totally get murdered. But yeah, I want to know. The curiosity is worse than the fear. So you just kind of sat in there. Anyway, I'll get back to the email. It forced me to stay awake the entire night. Minutes turned into hours, and there I was, just frightened by what I had just heard. I mean, fuck, I just heard someone scream at 2 a.m. in the morning. It could be as bad as I think it is. About 10 minutes pass by, and I hear the same type of screaming outside again. Now I'm thinking, okay, what the fuck is going on? I mustered the strength to look out the window and ... Turns out some jackass is just screaming as a joke. The neighbors even went outside to talk to the dude. Well, that's a relief, I thought, and I just went back to watching YouTube for a bit and finally went to sleep. The end. Nice. See? You just had to investigate. Nothing weird. I mean, that guy was weird for sure. Maybe he was just voice acting. I've gotten in trouble for that. When I do my voice acting, sometimes I have to get really loud, and it's upset the neighbors in the past. I had this woman, I was doing the voice for Azog the Defiler in my Lego Hobbit series. And he kind of talks like this. He's like, Bugladish, Goldblade 2. It's really intense. Everything he says is with a lot of gusto. And I didn't even give it the full 100% there. That was just half. And so I was going full 100 on his speaking, on his lines. And the lady next door to me, she knocks on my door and she's like, what is going on in here? I'm babysitting kids in the next apartment over. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm an actor. And I was like, I'll give you the heads up next time I need to do that. Because what am I going to do? What am I fucking going to do? Am I going to fucking not be an actor? Come on. I'm an actor. All right. The worst thing you can do as a voice actor, because I have a lot of fans I know who do voice acting for their own brick films, and I hate it. It's even bad. It's even worse than bad animation when the voice acting is bad. Because I noticed this thing, and a lot of them are kids, so they got time to develop and realize how foolish they're being. But they do this thing where they fake scream. They're like, ah, hey, stop that! It'll be an act. It's like they're trying to not disturb anyone with their voice acting, or they'll just talk in a muted way where it's you can tell they're not giving it their 100%. And like I said, these are probably kids, most of the time. But bad voice acting will kill your film worse than anything. You have to give it 100% when you do your voice acting. You gotta bring it. Okay, just make sure to bring it, guys. Don't. If you can't bring it, then find someone who will. Let's get back to the emails. Okay, we're trying to set a spooky mood here. Okay, so this email is the really spooky one. I saved the best for last, you guys. This email is from Robbie, and he titled it "Ghost Story / Haunting / Possession Story." Hey Forrest, get ready for some crazy shit. Alright, so this all happened over the span of a couple years. It started when I was like 9 or 10, and I was walking into my room, and one of my roller skates flew across my room right in front of my face. I didn't think much of it at first because I assumed it was one of my brothers, so I checked my room, under the bed, in the closet, everywhere, and no one was in there. So when I realized there was no one in my room that could have thrown the skate, I ran to my mom in the patio and told her what happened. And my brothers were there with her, which only confirmed it couldn't have been them. We didn't really do anything at that point, and nothing else happened for about a week or two. I was home alone with my cousins a week later when I froze in front of the sliding glass door and I was staring at a black figure. It was like a living shadow. I called my cousin over and he saw it too, and next thing you know, it was gone. I again told my mom about this, and this time my aunt too, who had experienced other things with ghosts and shit. We'll get back to that later though. So after that, things started to really pick up. My room started to give me this feeling as if the air was harder to breathe in, and as if there was something in there, and I wasn't the only one that felt it. So did my mom, my aunt, and my brothers. Something just wasn't right in that room. So after some time, I completely stopped sleeping in my room. My mom went to a psychic, which I usually think are bullshit, to ask about things, and without my mom even bringing it up, the psychic said something was trying to get me. So with what was going on, my mom took that very seriously. We're not a religious family at all. I even consider myself an atheist, but I definitely believe ghosts and all that shit, lol. Kind of contradicting, but whatever. So my mom got me a rosary for me to sleep in, and when I woke up, the cross was broken in half. We got another one a few days later, and the same thing happened. The cross was broken in half. So she went and got a special rosary made with rose petals, and it was blessed. So I went to bed with it. Okay, so you know how rosaries are a necklace, and then there is an extension that has the cross on it? Well, when I woke up, all I had around my neck was the necklace. I checked the couch, under the couch. I checked everywhere that would make sense for it to be, and I just couldn't find it. Eventually, I did, but I'll get back to that because it's months later, and it's fucking crazy where I found it. Also in the house, there was this corner that my dog would bark at constantly, and that corner would make you feel the same way my room did. Gross. One time, my mom was in the corner because that is where we had the computer, and she started to scream and say that something was holding her. After a little, she was fine though. So eventually, my aunt came to sage the house, and while she was doing it, she began to hyperventilate and was sweating a lot. We took pictures of my room, and there was like 3 of those weird orbs that they say are ghosts. I don't know if they actually are ghosts, but yeah. So after 3 rosaries breaking, the psychic saying something... So after 3 rosaries breaking and the psychic saying something wants to get me, we were getting worried. My aunt knew a guy who was really into the whole spiritual thing, and apparently he's good at sensing things and that type of shit. And so she thought he should come. He was a healthy dude, probably in his mid-40s. I'll tell you why that matters in a little. Alright, I'm already getting spooked. So eventually he came, and one of the first things he said was that something definitely wanted me, and it was latched onto me, and he said I needed to bathe in holy water, which my mom would do the next day. So he walked around the house with us, and just like my aunt, he began to hyperventilate and sweat even worse than my aunt was. He started to freak out, saying the stuff in this house was horrible. He was completely drenched in sweat. Guys, is it weird that I started sweating as I'm reading this email? He looked like he was in a pool. He turned super red and was straining to breathe. He gave some liquids and other things that are supposed to keep evil spirits away. Supposed to, yeah. Good luck with that. He was still freaking out and said he had to go, that he couldn't be there, and he ran out the door. We found out like 4 days later that the guy, a healthy guy who wasn't even old, had a heart attack and died. So, yeah. But I was bathed in holy water, we used all this stuff he gave us and recommended, and would bird sage regularly. Eventually, we started to feel better about things, and eventually I went into my room again for the first time, and I don't know how long. I was cleaning my room, and eventually I was taking out all the stuff I had under my bed, and guess what I find under my bed? The piece from the rosary. At that point, I wasn't even sure how to react to find it. I was just stunned, like damn. But we ended up moving out not long after that, and I haven't had anything like that happen since, but it was a lot to deal with. So yeah, it's been like 8 to 9 years since everything ended. But alright, Forrest, hope you read it. I'ma fuck with you. Sweet, dude. Thanks for writing in. Yeah, that was super spooky. Well done building the suspense and telling your truth. Yeah, I definitely believe in some sort of unexplainable spirit realm. You know, I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in man-made religious ideas and principles, but I do believe there are multiple levels of reality that we as human beings cannot always access or tap into. And I believe some people have the ability to transcend our reality and tap into others. I've never had an experience like that. I have had feelings of entities trying to possess me at certain points. Like one time I woke up, like basically dreams, you know, like one time I woke up from a sleep and I saw like a hand stretching, like a dark hand stretching through the door into my room. But I kind of just like went back to sleep, you know, could have just been a dream, could have been making it up. It wasn't like something was thrown at me, you know. That's a whole nother experience that is super creepy. I wouldn't even know what to do in that situation. I probably would call a priest at that point. So I think you did the right thing. I mean, what can you do, you know? You can let the ghost win and just be frightened about it. Or you can be like, you know what, fuck it. I can't fucking figure out what this is. I'm doing everything I can do. You know, if this ghost fucking gets me, then the ghost gets me, you know? What else can you do? These ghosts are fucking assholes. They don't give a fuck about life or common decency or respect. All they care about is, you know, possessing your body or whatever. It's bullshit. I fucking hate these ghosts, dude. They just have no respect for people. And it's upsetting because they're probably just like really sad and really lonely, and they're probably like, you know, tired of being ghosts, and they most likely envy us and envy our health and our life. So I think it's important to remember that, and important to remember that we have something that they don't, and that we're more powerful than them for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's some demons out there that are like super powerful and can, like, you know, throw you across the room and shit. But I've never encountered anything like that. Sounds like the one you had was pretty fucking horrible. Pretty powerful demon. So, yeah, I think you did the right thing. Thanks for writing in, Robbie. I appreciate that. I got pretty spooked reading that. Honestly, I started sweating and getting chills, kind of like you were describing in the email. So, hopefully I'm alive next week for the next episode of Just for Clicks. But until then, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, sticking with me on this new venture that I've been doing. The thing is, guys, I want to be a pleaser, you know? I want to please you. I want to make sure that you're happy with this podcast. I want you guys to let me know how I'm doing. You know, give me some feedback on the podcast and what you found most interesting so far and what you'd like me to focus on in the future. Leave a like on this video or subscribe. It really helps. And yeah, comment down below. Let me know, like, what's your favorite segment? You know, what do you like? Do you like the emails the best? Do you like the hot takes the best? Did you like my whole Pixar rant? Let me know. Thanks, guys. See you next week.